Hello, and welcome back to my channel. So for those that are new here, my name is Catherine, and I make a lot of videos about how to be confident in yourself and also how to be confident in building a business. And I'm almost at 10,000 followers on Instagram, almost 2,000 on YouTube. My TikTok has been the slowest growing one, but I'm about 3,200 there. And so I wanted to create a video telling you about random facts about myself so that people can be more familiar with who I am and who all of this is behind my content. It's a lot of my content. I don't want my content to just be a billboard for business facts and business learnings. I use it as a way to codify my own learnings, but I want to also share more about my own personal life as well. So after my brother passed away, I founded Anja Health. It's basically called cord blood banking, but a lot of people don't know what that is. So it's basically the process of freezing your umbilical cord and placenta for its stem cells to use for future disease treatment. So we have a kit that pregnant parents bring with them to birth. We provide that kit. We send it to them typically in their third trimester of pregnancy, and they bring it with them to birth. Their physician uses the tools inside to collect the umbilical cord and placenta. They basically stick it into jars and also a blood bag. And then we have a courier that comes to pick it up from your hospital room or your home, wherever you gave birth. And then we'll bring it to our lab in New Jersey, where we freeze the stem cells very similar to freezing eggs and sperm. And then in the future, you can potentially use those stem cells for disease treatment, most commonly cancers, leukemias, lymphomas, etc. But a burgeoning field of research in the past few decades has been cerebral palsy, which is how I got involved in it because my younger brother had cerebral palsy, as I've mentioned, and my family was searching for a cord blood stem cell match for my brother to use. However, it tends to be really difficult to find a cord blood stem cell match if you're a person of color or mixed race. And so as a result, we were never able to find a stem cell match for my younger brother. I have always believed that my own personal story was so impactful. And for that reason, when I was 15, I wrote literally a single-spaced 120-page memoir. And I don't know why I even felt moved to do it or what the trigger was, but I just felt like I had been through so much trauma and etc. that I just felt like I had so much wisdom to impart. So I wrote this long memoir, and I actually had it reviewed by a real editor. And I was trying to think about publishing it, but ultimately I didn't really know what the editor was encouraging me to self-publish, and it felt like that wasn't necessarily an avenue I wanted to explore, and the concept of editing many times didn't feel particularly appealing to me. But that memoir is still in my Google Drive. But anyways, this video is going to be an abridged version of that, and then some, because I stopped writing it when I was 15. So there's still 11 more years after that. So without further ado, here's some facts about me and hopefully like highlights of my life story. I have so many different parts of my life that I have random facts from. So I have a list of them. So if you see me looking over here, I'm reading the list. So some fun facts about me. Number one, I'm a glass child. So I learned about this recently from TikTok, of course, but a glass child is basically children that grow up with a disabled sibling. And there are certain psychological traits that glass children tend to have, like hyperindependence, trouble with boundaries, things like that, parentification. I don't identify with a lot of the traits, and I think that's because my mom was really loving growing up, but I think it is a part of my identity that I grew up as a glass child because my brother had cerebral palsy, and that played a big role in my life. Another fun fact about me, I grew up in LA. I feel like that's a big part of my personality. A lot of people tell me that I have a really strong LA accent, and I honestly take it as a compliment because I love LA. I love all things affiliated with LA. I love the entertainment industry. I've always been into creating. I modeled throughout high school and college, and I've kind of taken a stab at every single type of content creation that you can do. I used to have a fashion podcast with one of my best friends. I had a crypto meme Twitter with another one of my best friends. I Twitch streamed every day for 30 days to see how much money I would make. Fun fact, I started making money on day 10. And because I've had so many different eras in a way, my YouTube channel was a really good way for me to solidify my learnings from each of those eras. So if you're curious about any of those side quests, I have a YouTube video for almost every side quest that I've done. Another fun fact about me is randomly, most of my friends are gay or Indian or sometimes both, and I don't really know why, but I think it's probably because my patient zero best friends, like the people that were my childhood best friends, are gay and or Indian, and so I think that set up some foundation and omen for me. And one of my Indian friends told me that she thinks that the reason that I attract so many Indians is because I remind them of their aunties because I'm loud and love tea. Okay. Then I went to a historically women's college. called Wellesley College. And to this day, it is still all women. They're transgender men and non-binary folks, but it's basically anyone that's not a cis man. My senior year of college, I was a conformist and I worked at Goldman Sachs, but it was in the legal division. So I always wanted to be a lawyer growing up. I took the LSAT twice and everything. But when I worked at Goldman, everyone told me not to go to law school, and I took their advice. So my job straight out of college was a product design job, but I graduated in 2020, so my start date got pushed. And at that point, I started my first kind of founder journey endeavor. I founded a consultancy called Bridge Strategy, and I basically employed about 50 college students from colleges across the US. And at first we started doing volunteer projects, basically with small businesses and early stage startups to help them with their social media content and their product design and just anything that they needed help with. And while I was doing that consultancy was one of the waves of BLM happened. So I created a Twitter to follow BLM activists, but then I stumbled upon tech Twitter because I was following a lot of other product designers. And then I saw this tweet about this founder living house, and I never knew what a hacker house was prior, but it was essentially a hacker house but in a mansion in LA. And that was Launch House. I have another YouTube video on day in the life in Launch House, which is one of my most viewed YouTube videos, but that really introduced me to the startup world. So I did end up living in that house for about 6 months. And my first month living at that house, my brother suddenly passed away. He had cerebral palsy all growing up, but cerebral palsy doesn't tend to impact life expectancy. So it wasn't really something that I grew up expecting. And I'm such an extrovert. So after my brother passed away, I knew the only way to feel better would be for me to go back to Launch House because I'd been living there for 3 weeks. I just felt like being around other people would really help me. And it did. And it also really inspired me because I realized that startup founders are being the change that they want to see in the world, that Nelson Mandela quote. And so it inspired me to do something that would be the change that I want to see in the world. And I knew that I didn't want to be a product designer because I didn't really feel as dedicated to that job. And after my brother passed away, I kind of felt like, nothing else really matters. I felt very nihilistic, and I felt like I should only be doing the things in life that make me 100% happy. And I knew that my job as a product designer wasn't that. So, I basically took a really extended bereavement leave, and I was thinking about trying to start a company because I felt like that would make me 100% happy, and the people around me were inspiring me so much. There were 30 startup founders that I was living with during those 6 months in Launch House, and they would change every month. So that was definitely a really formative period. And I have always known about cord blood banking growing up, but when my brother passed away, I kind of realized that most people don't, and I wanted to do a business that would have been able to help him. I feel really passionately about content creation and putting things out into the world. So this felt like the perfect business for me because it married a personal mission, but also I really enjoy making content. And I had this thesis that so few people know about cord blood banking. And if I was able to make really solid, educational, well-branded content, more people would know about cord blood banking, and creating a media company is the best way to convince consumers to do things. So I wanted to create kind of an all-encompassing pregnancy and cord blood banking educational program. And so I did that. We have about 200,000 followers across platforms. We're now at $1.5 million ARR. We reached profitability this year, raised $5 million, et cetera. So that's obviously what a lot of my content is about, is building a business. And I really love building a business because I feel passionately about making high stakes decisions. It makes me feel like I'm making a real impact, and being able to interface with customers directly makes me feel like I'm doing something important and I can see my impact in real time. So for those reasons, I love being a startup founder. And then the mission is just like the foundation, and the cherry on top and the ice cream is why I love being a founder. And I kind of knew that when I was working on Bridge Strategy, my consultancy, but I feel like doing an actual venture-backed startup where you have like very high expectations to create a unicorn and have $1 billion outcome really emphasized that for me. And so I think I would like to be an entrepreneur forever. I think like being a creator is a really interesting approach to eventually become an entrepreneur, or it's an avenue to explore while you're being an entrepreneur. I don't think I'll ever just be a creator. I feel bored by that concept, but I think that's just me. Like I know other creators that have like a whole vision with their content, but it usually does involve eventually becoming a business. So yeah, I feel like the best folks are doing content or doing businesses or just like putting something out into the world in some way that they've made and being perceived. So yeah, that's kind of my thoughts on like content and business, etc. Then I ended up getting into YC because of people that I met in Launch House. They were in YC and they helped me form my application and everything. Then I went on to raise $5 million. That was in 2022. And in 2021, I started a TikTok about cord blood banking. And I got that TikTok to 160,000 followers. Our YouTube's at 8,000. And I started building a founder Twitter presence. And then basically had this thesis that cord blood banking requires a lot of media for a consumer to purchase a cord blood banking kit because it's a concept that requires a lot of education and it's a high ticket item. So people need to know a lot about it to make the decision to purchase the kit. So I felt like scaling media was the best option possible. So this year I started scaling up my personal brand as well because I was getting kind of tired of doing only pregnancy content. And I felt like my following was also plateauing and my engagement was plateauing because people weren't getting to know me. And I feel like building trust with me as a creator is the best way to eventually convince someone to do something. And I also just love content creation. So I wanted to be able to create more personal content. Yeah, so that's why I started making more content here. I started on YouTube earlier this year. It's 2025. And I felt like YouTube felt like a really safe space for me because I wasn't promoting it anywhere. So people that were finding it were just genuinely liking my content and I didn't have to feel embarrassed or ashamed in any way. But then about 2 months ago, I started posting reels as well. And I still haven't done a lot of promo on my YouTube, but we'll see. Maybe I'll eventually gather the gumption to promote my YouTube as well. But it just feels like long form content, you expose so much of yourself to people. And I feel like a little bit scared. And it's weird because I'm such an open book about everything in my life that you would think that I wouldn't feel afraid of exposing myself on YouTube. And I'm not so afraid that I'm not posting, but I am a little bit afraid because I'm not promoting it anywhere. So yeah, that's been something that I've been thinking about. Another reason why I create content is because I feel like I wish that I knew more about tech Twitter and the startup world earlier on. And in fact, I kind of feel like Wellesley didn't expose me enough to the startup space and we could actually take classes at MIT. So I took classes at MIT basically every semester of college, at least 2 classes, but I still didn't feel that exposed to the startup world. I feel like everybody was kind of encouraging folks to go into big tech or finance. And that's why I worked at Goldman. And I thought I was going to be pre-law. So I never really was interested in entrepreneurship, but I feel like more people should know about the startup world because I feel like there's so many, it just opens so many doors to be in the startup scene. And not only doors to capital, but doors to impact, doors to influential folks. And you're on the cutting edge of innovation. So I love being in tech for that reason. And so that's why I'm making all of this content because I want to empower people to create businesses and I want people to feel more confident in themselves. Like I feel like I am frequently telling my friends or giving my friends pep talks on how to be more confident. So I'm kind of putting that here as well so that I can maybe like send them those videos when they need it and also remind myself when I need reminders of those lessons. Other fun facts about me, my hobbies include piano and music production. I played piano for 14 years growing up, but I started taking lessons again last year when I was having a lot of anxiety. And I felt like playing the piano was something that made me feel calm. It's almost like a meditative practice. And then this year, so now I've been doing piano lessons for a year. Then this year, my piano teacher was saying like she thinks I would be interested in music production. So I've been doing that too. And I actually have a SoundCloud where I dropped a track recently. And I want to continue dropping SoundCloud tracks because I think I just love the process of creating something and putting it out into the world. So that's something else that I've been doing in my free time. I work out almost every day because part of my anxiety last year was getting insomnia. And one of my friends told me that one of the best ways to get rid of insomnia is to work out consistently. So now I do Pilates 5 days a week. I try to run 1 day a week. I'll typically run like 2 miles. So nothing crazy, but at least I'm doing it. And then the other day a week, I try to lift or I'll take a break. So yeah, that's a little bit about me. Thanks for reading my video memoir. These are some quick facts about me. Let me know if you like more personal videos like this. I don't know why I feel a little bit nervous making this and I don't know if people will like it. I guess like even though I feel like I'm generally confident and identify as someone that has relatively high self-esteem, I question why anybody would watch this video. And it's kind of like, why would they care about me? Like I've just kind of been a billboard for business tips, but I'm trying to change that outlook and also test that thesis with this video. So yeah, let me know what you think. If you have any other like questions or things that I should dive into, then maybe I could do like more extended story times because I do actually enjoy talking about myself. I just don't know if people want to hear it. obviously. So yeah, quick lightning round facts. My favorite color is pink. My favorite nature is the beach. I feel most calm in a mall. I get my nails done every month. And I used to be blonde. So yeah, hope you enjoyed this. Thanks for watching. Oh, and since I'm almost at my content goals, make sure to follow me on all channels if you want to. Instagram, almost at 10K. TikTok, kind of growing slowly, but whatever. And YouTube, almost at 2K. So yeah. Okay. Bye.
Trying to be all that I can be for you.